Hi, welcome to another episode of Browns Recap here on another week, another recap, and another kind of disappointing week to be honest. But I'm not going to be too nilly-nilly. I actually have a few things wrote down today, kind of. Just some few points, mostly about Dylan Gabriel and just some overall general things, and try to get more discussions too about what's going on in the Brown sphere, things like that, you know. And there's just the things that are time to discuss some things going on around here. So yeah, we just got a little bit of a recap this week coming into this, and we'll see how. I'll just go over some few points, but overall I have a grade for. I just want to talk about Dylan Gabriel and pros and cons of his debut, and what to look forward to with the Browns with this debut out of the way. So the first thing I'm gonna do is let's just get straight to it. Let's talk about Dylan Gabriel's debut. Is he better than Joe Flacco? Is a question kind of going in because that's. We want to see what he's really about. And the answer is yes. He looked way better than Joe Flacco has really ever looked for the Browns. Even in week one being the best week of Joe Flacco's career so far, this is by far the best debut you could ask for from Dylan Gabriel. And not only is it the best debut, the offense seemed to flow way better. And I think the whole offense in general looked way better under Dylan Gabriel. And with that being said, I've had some reason things to look forward to as a Browns fan, some pros and cons that I kind of saw from him. Number one, the biggest pro I think that comes to us, especially over Joe Flacco, is Dylan Gabriel. Even though he doesn't have a cannon for an arm, he puts so much more zip on it. You can really tell. Once you watch Joe Flacco during those weeks he was starting, one of my main issues was everything was not getting to the target very fast. It was all very floaty, and it kind of seemed like you kind of had there was no tight windows that Joe Flacco could hit. Dylan Gabriel did not have that problem. He made a lot of good tight throws, had a lot of zip to him. I was decently surprised actually how much zip he got on him, especially on some tight windows throw. Two is the mobility. We actually saw some plays drawn up for rollouts. You couldn't do that under Joe Flacco. You could just see some play action with a read option too. Like there's just so much more that kind of opened up in Kevin Stefanski's playbook for him after he switched to Dylan Gabriel because of the mobility. Two, Dylan Gabriel did exactly what you expected in his first start, and especially who Dylan Gabriel was in college, especially in Oregon. He got the ball out quick and efficiently. It never really stayed in Dylan Gabriel's hands. He always get it all out quick, some quick passes, and he did that part of his game really well. Now, things I will say. The reason I did not list accuracy on one of those, and we're going to go into the cons a little bit more now, is one of the bigger cons, I think, is the fact that Dylan Gabriel could not push the ball downfield. Now, is that be granted because he's on a short week going to London and going against a very good Vikings defense and the play scheme? Maybe. But he seemed very inaccurate going down the field and couldn't really hit anybody down the field. Now, we'll see how that continues. And it's too early to judge if deep ball is maybe not be the greatest, or do we have another Bo Mix merchant here, you know? So, if you want to see Dylan Gabriel actually be a good starting quarterback, or something like that, you're gonna have to be more you're gonna have to see a lot more coming out of him from that point of view of hey, can you get the ball downfield? He couldn't really hit anything from there. There was one in the fourth quarter on that final drive, he had one really bad pass. Where the hell was he throwing it to? Not only that, if Dylan Gabriel was not good off script, let's be real. Even though I think his mobility is better than Joe Flacco's, never was there really a big factor on plays that were not designed for his mobility. You never really saw plays where he got out of the pocket, made a play or anything, or even made a good scramble like that. No, his mobility was kind of in factor there. Actually, the better calling for his game is that if the play breaks down and he didn't get away with a quick pass or something like that, it seemed that he didn't have anywhere to go, or he just didn't know what to do after that. So anytime the play was not broke down, did not look good. He did look decently prepared. The main thing though I think we want to talk about is he was really composed. He looked efficient. He looked very comfortable, and that's a very big thing as a rookie quarterback starting running the offense. If you can look comfortable while running it, you have a lot more flexibility that kind of opened up that playbook later on. And all in all, I had to give a grade, which I think is stupid, but if I had to give a grade to Dylan Gabriel's debut, I'd give it like a B-. Played quick, efficient, got the ball out quick, could definitely open up the offense a lot more. Fortunately, could not push the ball downfield, couldn't get the ball to receivers, crumbled under pressure a lot. Okay, if he didn't have a guy to throw to and get the ball out quick, he was not making a play. I think those are the main things to think about. But I think you have a lot more to look forward to in the future. Now moving on to the rest of the team, the overall team, we're going to have to start going into more of course, the first thing we're going to talk about is the run game. Quinshon Judkins looks like to be the future star of this team. While he probably will come like high in rookie of the year voting, he's not Biabuka, I will tell you that. But he looks like one of the best rookies in this whole draft. I think he's leading the whole draft in rushing. He is a bell cow. He really had a touchdown that got called back. Now, granted, I think he does get tackled if there isn't a holding on that Taos call, but still. And so you can really see, oh yeah, Quinshon Judkins is that guy. And on that point too, this seemed like a good game for David Njoku and Willie Fannin Jr., who got his first touchdown pass. The tight end room is very brilliant in Cleveland. And really, the whole rookie class so far is turning out really good. But now, to discuss more of the lows of the game, I guess, and things that people are discussing on Twitter, the Browns defense. Still really good. Denzel Ward had a bait on that last pass, and it backfired completely on him. But 21 points is not bad by any way to mean. You held a team to 3 touchdowns. You can accept that. Only thing you can be kind of concerned is like once the Browns defense bends, it feels like the break. Like they either get 3 and outs or they bend completely or going to give you a touchdown. That's how I felt in that drive. But it's just so hard to contain offense with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison on it. And you really saw that game. Justin Jefferson is a different dude. The one thing you could complain about is maybe Jim Schwartz's scheme being so simple, but I don't think that's a problem because it hasn't really backfired on us really that bad yet. So all around so talent, I still think the defense is really good. The only thing I think I should be concerned about, and I'm kind of disappointed in that game, the pass rush was a kind of more of a non-factor. Especially against that battered O-line, that can be a real big concern. They played Myles Garrett really well. They checked him every time. There wasn't a time where Myles Garrett wasn't getting blasted by a tight end or running back. But you expect more out of your kind of front. But we still got good mouse action, good pressure. I just thought it'd be a little bit more. But maybe that's just me after seeing the Steelers game. And maybe they just come in this week a little bit more prepared, maybe. So who knows? People just want to discuss the receiving game. There is a problem in drops, yes. And Jerry Jeudy had a drop. Now people were like blasting him, but I'm like, it's kind of hard grab. He's sliding with his feet. Anytime you ever had to catch a ball while sliding, you know how hard that is. And it's just a kind of a low throw. It's kind of hard to catch. Other than that, though, he was a non-factor in that game, to be completely honest. He didn't really have any. Didn't really see his fun. I think he got open on a play. He was getting sacked. You can kind of see it. And I don't think he played a blitz, so that was the whole point. So Jerry Jeudy's been off. Bond still looks decent. He couldn't really get the ball this game, but good coverage, and I think Bond can open up the offense, especially when Cedric Tillman comes back. The receiving game, the receivers need to come along really bad. Actually, it's a big non-factor in his team. Actually, though, the O-line, which is looked really bad this whole year, looked a lot better in Dillon Gabriel. I think that's come place of kind of how Dillon Gabriel plays the short game really well. Gets the ball quick, makes the O-line look better. He doesn't take too many sacks. That's as simple as that. Dillon Gabriel does not take sacks. And now, doesn't mean the O-line is really that great. It's really not. Actually, there's multiple times that you're going, man, this thing sucks. But Dillon Gabriel makes it look a lot better than it actually was last game. And really on that factor is one of the big things, and this is my complaint, was Kevin Stefanski. People are calling for his job. I think he should deserve the whole year still. And they're calling for it because of his offense. No, one of my biggest complaints about Kevin Stefanski this whole time he's kind of played for the Browns is that the Browns are never a disciplined team. I think when it comes to penalties, there's always way too many penalties all year for the Browns. They're always leading the league almost in penalties. And I think that's pretty bad and almost unacceptable because at times you're going, you can get so many more points. We would have had 20 plus more points if it wasn't for the penalties this game. A lot of unnecessary holds, a lot of false starts that aren't necessary. And on the defensive side, you see many drives get extended because of that. Every week you're going, man, this team is shooting themselves in the foot. And that's a big problem. Not only that, the Browns have never been good in the clutch time either. I can't tell you last time the Browns won a clutch time game. Other than that Green Bay game, that's never going to happen. You need consistency from there, and I just never had real good consistency with the Browns in clutch time. And this game kind of reaffirmed it, where we couldn't really get the fourth quarter was really bad for us, especially with how many possessions we had in the fourth quarter. So it's just like, man. And people sometimes talk about that final Clay call. I think that's just unfortunate. Not bad, actually. We would have had a decent shot if get that 1 foot out of bounds. I don't mind that one. You gotta do something. I don't like doing double Hail Marys back to back. Gotta get closer. But this team is not very disciplined at all. And I don't know how I feel about the offense really that bad yet, because it's kind of unfair to say how good it is with Dillon Gabriel having to start his first thing on the kind of road internationally. He has to start it overseas. I want to see his team when Dillon Gabriel, when he has a full week of practice and gets to kind of just do a regular travel schedule, especially since we're only traveling to Pennsylvania next week. A lot shorter of a flight than to London. So we'll see how the offense looks next week against the Steelers defense. I do not believe is very good. They had a couple good weeks, but I think they were against bad opponents, and so you can't really say, hey, you're good after being bad opponents. But there's still a lot to be seen here. And do I think Shedeur Sanders should start this year? The answer is yes, I think he should. If Dillon Gabriel plays kind of like how he is right now, where he plays solid, doesn't play to lose. But if you don't play to win, you'll never win football games and never be a contender. So we'll see how the year turns out. If Dillon Gabriel turns out to be a stud, then of course you're not going to start Shedeur Sanders. But if he turns out to be more of a game manager, I feel like you have to start Shedeur. Because, like I've said this multiple times, if you can go into this next draft when there's not really a number one guy, if I had a choice, if we're going to have a high draft pick, I would either go Sellers to kind of work on somebody maybe. If you want to do Sellers, he is a very talented quarterback with physical. Or I would do Moore from Oregon. I really like Moore from Oregon. There's nobody else I really like on this quarterback draft. And you can just go O-line and help that O-line out. I think that's a much better option. So we'll see how that goes. Or get Carnell Tate. It's out to Carnell Tate. I love Carnell. So that's kind of the Browns recap this week. A lot of good happens, but I feel like there needs to be a lot. Oh, before I forget, I have someone else I wrote down and I just remembered. Something I really dislike about Kevin Stefanski is the conservative play calling. He plays really safe. He played really safe this game. He always plays not to lose, and that frustrates me really bad. I feel like you cannot play to lose. Play not to lose. You gotta play to win. And then when you get to that conservative play, you see it all the time. Where it just no. And one of my big complaints is that, and this is around the NFL. This is Kevin Stefanski, but every time I see it, it pisses me off. Is you get to these 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1, 2nd and 1s even maybe, and you make it so obvious that you're gonna run the ball, and then you run it. You saw against the LA Rams actually this week too, when they lost that Thursday night game, where you make it so obvious you're gonna run with these heavy sets and these fullbacks. And I'm going, man, you gotta be more creative. It is like there's a good chance that you can get stopped and you lose a lot of momentum. And I feel like if you add a lot of play action and movement and something else to these things, instead of just being just, hey, we're gonna run the ball and whatever happens, I feel like you can do a lot more than that as a football team. I feel like you cannot play obvious like that. Not in the modern NFL. Not with these linebackers and defensive linemen be able to keep up with fucking wide receivers sometimes, you know? So that's kind of my takeaway from this game. And I hope next week against the Steelers, who I think will maybe win. That's a close game. I do not like the Steelers this year, by the way. If we're going to analyze our next opponent, this is my take on the opponent. The offense is really weak. They're going to play a short passing game with the Browns. I think we're really good at a short passing game. So I think we'll be fine there. Their own line is and I don't think Aaron Rodgers is that dude anymore. And our defense has looked really bad this year, except for last week. But we'll see. I think the Browns have a real shot to win. The Browns have a real shot to win this division still. It's a sad part, especially if they win next week. And the sad part is, really, I said, it's not only wide open, the whole NFL is open. If you have a good second half this year with Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders, you can make the playoffs, even with like a 9-8 record, I feel like. So let's see what the Browns can do. If not, we'll just draft high. So, all right. Thank you for listening to this week's Browns recap. I'll catch y'all next week. And maybe we'll beat the Steelers. I hope to goodness we beat the Steelers.